Nicki Minaj, NAACP Awards. Here's the conclusion that I walked away with. You can sell sex. You can promote degeneracy. Like, full stop. You can glorify all kinds of chaos and violence and just be vile and wicked. But the moment that you think for yourself politically, now they got to cut you. Because now you're a problem, right? You're dangerous. And they got to send the dogs out because you've messed up. And now they have to take this as an opportunity to mock you and shame you and publicly humiliate you. They did this at an awards show. And this was done by people who they claim to represent the advancement of the coloreds, right? I've long been saying, this is not the first time I've addressed the NAACP, but they're not advancing anybody. And they are not advancing colored people. I'm going to tell you, they are advancing Democrat groupthink. That's it. I have said, and I don't apologize for saying this, that the NAACP is trash and they have been trash for decades. This is what they do. They're making it very clear for everyone to see that if you don't bow, we'll socially lynch you. So we're going to talk about what happened at the NAACP Image Awards, and it proves yet again that blackness in America is no longer about your melanin or your ethnicity. It is about being anti-God and being pro-cultural Marxism. That's what this is about. So let me summarize what happened, and then we'll show the clip. At a recent NAACP Image Awards show, I can't even remember the name of this little unfunny comedian, but he used the platform time to mock and shame Nicki Minaj over her political views. So let's take a listen. 25 seconds. If you got sensitive ears, send them out the room, please. Thank you.
Lord, we want you to bless our sister Nicki Minaj, Lord. Yes. She's been going through a lot lately, Lord. It hasn't been herself, Lord. I believe whatever's in her ass is affecting her brain, Lord. Take it out of her ass, Lord. We bind that spirit in her ass, Lord.
Are y'all shocked of the blasphemous prayer? This man is praying and referring to the female appendage in a profane way. Hear me clearly. I get it. The left, they have no sense. They are who they are. But what I want to do is I want to explain what this 25 seconds is really all about. Hear me clearly. I am not covering this just because Nicki Minaj showed up at AmFest. I'm no Nicki Minaj apologist. I'm very careful when it comes to ideology and big tent conservatism. I'm not that. I'm not the big tent. Okay. I believe that we've kind of let in. Not that you need to have. We're not looking for ideological perfection. This is not Christendom. It's not the body of Christ. It's politics, right? But I've seen where we give visibility and platforms to people who've not had their worldview tested yet, and they don't even really know what it means to be a conservative. And we let in what I call the EBT Republican, which is basically you a Democrat, but instead of begging Democrats for stuff, you come over to the right begging the government for stuff. Now, I'm not saying that that's what Nicki Minaj is. That's not it at all. But I do want to explain, this is how Democrats operate. Let's just take a step back, go down memory lane. Nicki Minaj has spent years being celebrated by this same culture, the same industry, the same people, the same awards circuit. She was the bee's knees. As long as she was out here shaking her behind, being lewd, celebrating debauchery, celebrating whole culture, just summoning alter egos, the left was fine. They had no problems with Nicki. But the moment she questioned the establishment narrative, if y'all remember, Nicki first came out and was absolutely skeptical about the COVID vaccine mandate. This is 2021. Y'all remember Nicki tweets that, hey, I'm a little hesitant about this clot shot, okay? Because there's this story of a friend of a cousin who got it, and these are the side effects they experience. All Nicki said was, listen, I just want to do a little bit more research before I take it. Well, why did she say that? Her saying that triggered major media backlash. All of the public health officials are scrambling, trying to respond, because you can't have somebody as influential as Nicki Minaj questioning the narrative because the blacks might get a clue and not sign up to take the submuscular injectable biologic. Biden's White House reaches out, offering to speak with her, because we just need to see why you thinking like this, ma'am. Like, we need to set you straight. All of that widespread mockery online directed at her. The left reacted strongly. First of all, it's because they all dumb, right? They all think the same way, and they're all a bunch of cowards. So because they are cowards and obedient slaves, if they say put on a mask, you don't question it. You just do it, because thinking for yourself, right? And trying to do what a wise person would do, which is, let me come to my own conclusion. Let me read the science. They didn't even want you to read the science. No, just trust the science. Trust what we say. Whatever it is that the conclusion that you may have come to, it did not matter. It hurts their heads too much to think. They would rather just tell us, massa government, what to think, because we ain't got time to be doing all that thinking and reading and stuff. That's too hard. They don't want to do that. It was easier to just do what you're told, right? Do what you're told, and for them to strain real hard to think, they ain't want to do that. It hurts too much. Don't ask no questions. When it came to Nicki Minaj, it did not matter that her position was framed as, hey, I'm just having a little personal hesitancy. Can I exercise some bodily autonomy? No. They portrayed her as she out here spread misinformation. Don't listen to her. That's the moment folks should have paid attention to what Nicki Minaj was saying. The moment she said, I don't really think we should be lining up for this biologic. I don't think this is a good thing. I need a minute before I can just get in line. They came for her. But it wasn't just that. Nicki was like, I don't think it's cool to be transitioning children like they kids. Like, why can't they leave the kids alone? Trust me. Nicki's hardly a conservative. It is a known fact. She has supported Democrats in the past, but what y'all don't understand is that people on the left are ideological slaves, and they are a bunch of robots who will sell their own souls just to be accepted. They gotta have a seat at the cool kids table. But they want to call us the sellouts, right? Liberals are the most cowardly bunch of brain dead robots you will ever meet. Many of them can't even explain why they believe what they believe. Go ahead and call Cardi B right now. But like, hey, why are you endorsing Jasmine Crockett? Outside of her saying, because like she gonna fight for us, and she gonna fight because she a fighter, because she be fighting. That's all she can say. She can't tell you one policy initiative of Jasmine Crockett that's going to help her or her community or the people back home in the Bronx, she can't tell you. That girl has no convictions. She just takes marching orders. A former stripper stealing money from men. That's what she do. She was that then, she's that now. But getting back to Nicki, the moment she refused to parrot approved talking points, suddenly, oh, so now she it's okay. She can be a punchline. Suddenly, she's dangerous. Oh, she's just crazy. I'm like, isn't that interesting? Right? The left they're always talking about celebrating and you got to protect Black women. But what I've noticed is that there are only certain kinds of Black women that deserve this protection that they speak of. And I'll tell you, you got to be hypersexual. You pretty much got to darn near be a hoe to get some protection from them, okay? You have to be incredibly profane, full-blown orangutan, female imbecile who cannot manage her misery. You got to have at least showed out on record once or twice. You have to be chaotic. You got to have multiple baby daddies scattered all over the country. Dysfunctional as hell. They love that. But if you are anything other than that, you must be ridiculed and mocked simply because you don't want to think like them. You showed some legitimate dissent and chose to think differently. Look at what they did to Chrisette Michele. Y'all probably like, you know what happened to that girl? She was invited to sing at the White House in Trump's first term. The pro-woke Black mob, the Black Democrat brigade came after her. We ain't seen that girl since. You got Jasmine Crockett out here, endorsed by Method Man and Cardi B. We had Kamala Harris celebrating all kinds of whoredom on the campaign trail with Meg Thee Stallion. They want to condition the world to associate Black women with whoredom. Even if you're running for the highest office of the land, you can't even separate the holes from that. How disgusting is that? But that's who the left is. And that is who they want you to align yourself with. A bunch of thugs, hoes, and rappers. That's who they are. You're not a wife. No, you're trying to keep your home together and stay a family. Or we can't celebrate that. That's white. Right? Who wants to be a wife on the left? You're not a mother. No. Now, I mean, you could be a baby mama and have a fatherless child using donor sperm, but surely having a heteronormative nuclear family, that's oppressive. That's racist. If you let them tell it, they'll be like, but that's just whiteness. This 25 seconds, it wasn't even about Nicki. This is about control. The NAACP, for a smidget of time, used to stand for civil rights. Now, truth be told, I've done content digging into the history of this Marxist organization. They've always been Marxists and had a little communistic bent to them, dating all the way back to their founding. But at least at one time, they made the main thing, at least for appearance sake. For example, so many of us have been told and believed that the Montgomery bus boycott ended segregated buses in the South. So many of us were told that. Truth is, the boycott was just the theatrics of it all. The NAACP is who filed a lawsuit with 5 female plaintiffs, of which Rosa Parks was not one of them, for the record, just saying. They filed that lawsuit. The bus boycott started in December of 55. NAACP had already planned. They had gathered the 5 women, the plaintiffs. They filed their lawsuit in either January or February of 56. By June of the same year, the verdict comes down and they're like, oh yeah, this unconstitutional. Y'all can't do this. Quit this out. The buses are desegregated. Now, of course, the Montgomery improvement, it was the NAACP and the Montgomery Improvement Association against the mayor and the city, if I'm not mistaken. They appealed it and went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they upheld the decision. Mind you, the boycott continued until December of that year, but the courts had already ruled in favor of the NAACP. I can legitimately be like, okay, that was worthwhile. That was a noble cause. But now, no. NAACP, they don't stand for anything worthy. What they do now is stand for ideological compliance of everything that goes against advancing the colors. Okay? It's no longer about protecting Black Americans from discrimination. Truth be told, if they focused on just that, they'd be irrelevant because they out here manufacturing hate crimes just so they can be like, see, you needed to call us because this had happened. They making up hate crimes. Ain't nobody thinking about Black folks like that anymore. They're just not. And when it happens, I'm like, we have legal means to remedy that. But now they figured to be relevant, we got to reinvent ourselves. Okay. So now all they're about is protecting and pushing leftist ideology, and anyone dissents away from that, they push everything that destroys Black America instead of advancing Black America. And this is how we know this to be true. All you have to do, look what they allowed to happen at the Image Awards. Basically, if you don't fall in line with their new agenda, they'll treat you like a traitor. They'll let a little washed up, nappy-headed comedian. Now, that's kind of curly. I can't. Is his hair nappy? I don't. No, it ain't. I probably shouldn't have said that. But I don't care. Okay. They let him get on stage, be super disrespectful, and they allow it because they assume all of us must think that Nicki's crazy and that we're all going to agree. He felt comfortable doing this because he's just like, oh, well, amongst the Blacks, we need to pray for Nicki because something going on with her. And maybe, Lord, you can get it out her behind. He felt comfortable telling this joke. This is why I tell y'all, Blackness, as it's currently packaged in American culture, it's not even about color. It is ideology. This is why Curry Queen herself ain't even Black, but she Black. Because it's not the color. It's the ideology. Barack Obama, hardly Black, but he Black because it's the ideology. It's about you staying with the group even to your own detriment. Blackness now is anti-individual, absolutely anti-freedom, absolutely anti-God. And it has to be because Marxism demands collectivism. Christianity, though, demands personal accountability. So those two systems, they can't exist together. They cannot coexist. And to make sure everybody understands the assignment, they give out awards celebrating the thugs, the hoes, and the rappers because they want you to believe that this is the Black excellence. We're all going to gather on the night and celebrate every debaucherous thing that is bringing down the Black culture. But they want you to think that this is cool. And to be cool, you have to be on this side. So what we witnessed, this was not comedy. Yes, okay, you saw some people in the audience laughing. But it was kind of like an awkward laugh because too many of them, if you notice, they all looking around to see, can we laugh? Huh? What we supposed to do? They were all looking around trying to figure out how they were supposed to respond. While the dude, he's telling the joke, he thinks it's a joke. This wasn't a joke. He probably is too slow, or I can't say if they knew he was going to tell this joke, or if they're like, well, if you tell this joke, we'll allow it. This is all a part of the social lynching. And I am not using that word lightly. It is meant to be hyperbolic. It is meant to be provocative. This was public humiliation, public shaming. It's a public signaling, just like the KKK used to do. They would physically lynch you to send out a message to everybody else. If you try this, this was going to happen to you. You're going to be strung up on the tree just like that. You want that to happen to you? Don't pull that stunt no more. That's what the message was. It was clear. Step out of line, and this will happen to you. Except in 2026, the mob, they don't need ropes anymore, y'all. No hood, no white sheets, no torches in the middle of the night, none of that. They have microphones now. They don't have to burn a cross in front of your house. They just burn your reputation. And the saddest part, most of the crowd laughed. Some of them looked like they were reluctant, like they were like, oh, did he really do that? Are we supposed to laugh? But they laughed because it costs nothing to laugh with the mob, but it costs everything to stand alone. And this is why I laugh. I laugh when the leftists, the pro-wokety woke blackety blacks come in my DMs, calling conservatives, calling me a coon and an Uncle Tom and a seller. I'm like, you punks could not walk a day in our shoes. You ain't built for this. You would fold as soon as you get the first DM calling you everything but a child of God because you're too weak. You're not built for this. It's easy to be a victim. Stay over there on the path of least resistance. It takes courage to stand on your own 2 feet, take the slings and the arrows that the mob throws your way, and hold your head up high with dignity and be like, I don't give a darn what you think. I'm not going to apologize for loving this country and supporting our efforts to make America great again. You stay over there and wallow in your oppression. This isn't new for me. And watching what happened at the Image Awards shouldn't be new or shocking to you either, regardless of your skin color. If you are a Christian, we're used to this, okay? How do you read the scriptures? How do you read First Peter or in John, where Jesus is like, listen, if they hated you, they're going to hate you. The world hates me. So because they hate me, they're going to hate you. And if the world doesn't hate you, you ain't doing it right. If you blend in and they love you, you ain't doing the faith right. Because the world is going to hate you when you expose it. They love the darkness rather than the light because their deeds were evil. So when you refuse to bow and you choose to think independently, when you take Romans 12 serious, where you're like, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. All of these people who sat there and laughed, they are the conformists. And they're that way because that's the pressure. You got to conform. You got to comply. You got to clap on cue. You got to act like a good little slave. But the renewal of your mind requires you to stand up, be strong, act like men. It takes courage to do that. And I hate to say it, but courage is expensive. And you can make all that money in Hollywood and be more richly rich and have close to more money than God, is that if that were even possible, and you can. But despite it all the elites in that room, they all got a boatload of money. But none of them, they're unwilling to pay the price to do away and to break away from the group. So what do? They join in. And that's most of us. Most of us fall into that default position. And the hard truth is, Black liberals risk nothing. Absolutely nothing. It costs nothing to echo and be in Hollywood and to say what everybody over there is saying. It costs nothing to stand with the corporate media and the fake news. That's easy. It costs nothing to just be one more voice in the choir of ideological sameness. It's easy. That's where it's safe. And they reward you for being safe. But to stand alone, that's costly. It's countercultural. And you're left, all you can do is respect. That's why I respect courage. Even if I don't agree with every single little thing that a person has said or done. I have sense enough to understand that this kind of freedom requires risk, and everybody is not built for this. But to be an ideological slave requires obedience, and I am nobody's slave except to the Lord Jesus. And the rest of the world, y'all, they can go kick rocks with sandals on. That's really how I feel. So we're about to wrap it up, but the NAACP, if we're going to be honest, they're not advancing colored people anymore. No. They're about advancing progressive ideology. It's, if you go to their website, y'all, they want to kill babies. They want to make all of our men gay. They want to support illegals while our communities suffer, and they want to keep your kids in failing schools. They support the teachers union. That's all that they want. That's what they care about. They want to push debauchery, and all they care about is thugs, hoes, and rappers. Why do you think they created the Image Awards anyway? That's why they created it. They wanted to celebrate and highlight the debauchery. When at one point they used to fight against the rap culture and the gang violence, now, no, you get an award for singing about it. They're nothing more than Democrat gatekeepers. And the gate is guarded by the people. All of them are terrified of independent thought. So here's the bottom line. Look, if your blackness requires you to be beholden and to have ideological submission, you are not free. You're in bondage. And I get it. Freedom is very risky. I know. I used to be a liberal. I didn't even know I was a liberal. I was like, oh no, this is whack. I don't want to do that anymore. But I've always kind of been a dissenter and one who would break away from the group. Standing alone is hard, but I would rather stand alone with conviction than to sit comfortably in a room full of cowards. I ain't gonna be able to do it. That's just me. I hope and pray some of y'all can get to that and muster up the courage to do the same. And trust me, you don't get here in your own strength. Now, you have some courageous people who don't name the name of Christ. But those of us who do name the name of Christ, we already know what it's like if you're persecuted for righteousness' sake. We have wrapped around in our minds the cost of following Christ. We've counted it, and we already know that to live is Christ and to die is gain. So, like, we're not out here trying to preserve our life. We're like, yeah, whatever, you know, I'll get my glorified body in eternity, right? You can't destroy this. So